Alright, so hey, my name is Michael Presley. Today we're going to be talking about realism, video games, and the gray area in between. I want to talk to you today more specifically about, let's say, the recoil involving, video games, especially more like Modern Warfare, Battlefield 3, and games like that. Alright, so here we have, these people are well experienced real war soldiers. These guys are the ones who go out on the battlefields. They actually experience the war. They are the experts as far as realism and the warfare goes. These guys, however, on the other hand, are game designers. These are the ones we expect to design the games, oftentimes aimed at reality. Now, how much do these guys actually know about reality portrayed in the games that they create? Well, one of the first things I want to get started talking about is GoldenEye. When GoldenEye was introduced, people hailed it as probably one of the most realistic first-person shooters of all time, and it was actually a very popular game. As you can, looking back, on the graphics, you can tell that we've come a long way since GoldenEye with the AK-47 there, to games like today we have Battlefield 3. I mean, just simply look at how realistic the graphics look. Visually, these games are outstanding. Most people are hailing Battlefield 3 as probably the most realistic shooter out there right now. The thing is, these games, while they may look really nice, they actually have a very difficult time describing accurately gun behavior. While we have, gun behavior isn't exactly fun, it's not exactly fun to play in most video games nowadays, it's also extremely difficult to mimic. Most gamers don't actually even care too much about gun behavior. However, it's a very important part of if you're going to make a game realistic or not. We're all familiar with Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This explosion pushes the weight of the bullet out the end of the barrel, and this explosion actually causes the weight to be pushed back towards the user. Now, this is the breakdown of the bullet. On the left, we have the projectile. This is the part that actually flies down range. In the middle, we have the powder. That's the black stuff you see all around there. That's what actually causes the explosion that sends the bullet down range. Then we have the casing, and then on the far right that you can't see, it's actually in that lip there, is the primer. Now, in your simple revolvers, these primers are actually struck by the hammer. This is a simplistic. This idea actually follows all guns, but it's generally simplified in a revolver. That firing pin you see on your left is actually pulled back, and as you pull the trigger, it'll slam forward, hitting the primer, causing that primer to ignite the propellant and send the bullet down range. As the hammer pulls back and it hits that primer, it ignites that powder, sending the bullet down range. It causes that explosion. That explosion forces the bullet out the end of the barrel. As it forces that bullet out the end of the barrel, it actually causes a huge pressure going back into the gun. Now, while there are huge buffer springs and things like that in the gun that actually reduce the recoil, it still is felt by a lot of the shoulder. That's why you have, your bigger rifles and stuff like that have huge kick. In this game right here, this is a perfect example of games that have absolutely no recoil mechanic whatsoever. This just doesn't seem very realistic, does it at all? I mean, you shouldn't be able to actually write on the wall if you're actually doing that, especially when it's full auto. Now, we're trying to make games as realistic as possible by creating systems within the game to produce lifelike responses. Let's think about what's real in video games today. We have this guy right here. He's holding a M4 variation. It's got all kinds of gadgets and gadgets all over it. But then we have these knife mechanics and things like that. Is this really real life? I mean, knife in the game is so much greater than bullets. It takes 2 to 5 bullet shots to kill somebody, whereas it takes one simple knife stab anywhere on or around the body to kill somebody. Another example is quick scoping. A lot of gamers will be like, real snipers only quick scope. They'll From a designer standpoint, I would see this as things that need to be removed from the game, things that actually take away from the playability of the game when people use glitches and things like that. But the thing is, people actually consider the quick scoping as part of a skill to make the game, which makes guys that appreciate the realism look more like this guy. They're just like, what in the world? That's completely unreal. I can't believe that just happened to me. The guy didn't even look down at his scope or anything. The thing is, most gamers that want realism hate when they actually get it. You know, things like recoil mechanics and damage multipliers and things like that just aren't very realistic in the game. So here we have a bullet comparison. When you think about the weight of the bullet, the force applied to the projectile, and the force applied against the user, it becomes obvious how absurd these mechanics actually are. The heavier the weapon, the more recoil, the more force is required to actually move that weapon. So big guns equals less recoil, while small guns equals more recoil. Here we have a picture of Modern Warfare 3. The guy's using a LMG, light machine gun, excuse me, and you know, he's probably having a hard time shoot. Here we have a guy with an SMG with a ACOG on it. It's just, you know, this is just variation of the two extremes you can go. With your LMG being your short-range weapon and your SMG being your long-range weapon. It's just things like this is just very unrealistic in my opinion. You know, what game designers need to actually do is actually get out there, do the research, and realize that game mechanics need to be fixed before they go on. I mean, I hope you enjoyed my video. It's kind of short and to the point, but you know, that was game design, and I hope you enjoyed my video.